What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Now, it's been a few days since I recorded anything with the turbo element, but I have been working on it off camera. A lot of little things I had to move around, a lot of things I needed to shift, a lot of little brackets and stuff I had to make, but I think we're kind of set right now to move forward with the next big thing. In the previous video, we took Project Blueberry on a ride and we did a review on the Max Pinion Rod T7 coilovers. If you haven't seen it, be sure to go back and check it out. Right now it's currently 5:30, and what I want to do is I want to plumb the turbo. The turbo had came off and on a couple of times, the wastegate came off a couple of times, but it is 100% in place permanently, and I want to plumb the feed and the return system. Now, this is going to be a little bit different than how I normally do it for the feed and return system. Let's show you guys some of the parts that we have. So when he bought the previous kit, it already came with a return line, which is this right here. We're probably gonna either use the fittings and change the line because it might be too short where we are routing it to, but we have a -10 return line here. In part of the old kit, he kept the feed line as well, obviously for the turbo, and this is a -4 line, and on the turbo has a restrictor as well. This right here goes in place of the oil filter, and we have the gasket. Where's the centerpiece? This right here is the centerpiece that goes right in the middle of the oil sandwich adapter, and it screws onto the factory fitting that's on the block. So we have everything here, and this should be pretty simple to install. I don't think we're changing oil because I wasn't provided any oil, and the oil does look fresh in it already. If he wants to do that, he can change the oil, but for me, filter off, oil sandwich adapter on, filter back on. So this piece right here is what we're going to be using for the return system. This item is from PLM, and it is a timing chain tensioner cover for a return line. You have the plate here, the hardware is for the plate, and then a fitting for the plate to run a -10 line, which in this case we're using for the return line to drain back into the engine. I'm not sure how I feel about the straight -10 because it is pretty close to the frame rail of the car. So we're gonna have to see where this sits and if we can get a fitting in between. If not, we're gonna need a new fitting. The first thing I'm gonna install here is the feed line and the oil sandwich adapter. This line is super long because it was meant for a different manifold, which sat the turbo further out this way, but not a big deal. So I was talking to Isai the other day, and he was like, you know, one good thing about the element is you can access the oil filter from this hole. Literally right there. So I don't know how much that's gonna apply to me because I got really short arms, but take the oil filter off, screw in the oil sandwich adapter, and that is where our feed line source is going to be coming from, right there. So I took his spark plug cover off, and I was gonna run the feed line through it, which typically that's how I route my feed line to the turbo, except the line is just really freaking long. So instead of running it through the cover, I ran it towards the firewall, going up here and then back down to go to the turbo right here. It looks kind of out of place, but I mean, the feed line is super duper long, so there's nothing I can really do about it. It is out of the way of the steering rack and all that, so we're not worried about it, like, you know, touching or rubbing or whatever. But this is how I'm gonna run the feed line. So I'm gonna go ahead and just tighten it down now, 14 mil, and that's the feed line. Now let me figure out the return system, and then we'll talk about it. This guy took notice of the ice cream sandwich I was eating, so he came through with you know, that chocolate chip sandwich right there. Thank you, appreciate it. Yeah. Okay, so SI took off to his buddy Tony's house because they found a fitting that's a tight radius 90. And while he do that, I'm gonna go ahead and see what kind of space we have for lines and fittings. So right here, we have the timing chain tensioner cover. Sorry for it being dark, but you can see this little plate right here. And then there's like 3 10 mil, 1, 2, and 3. So we're gonna go ahead and take off those bolts and remove that plate, and this wire connected right here as well too. Make sure to scrape off the RTV. I'm not going to fully tighten down this PLM plate just yet. I just want to mock it up first. And this thing does have its own O-ring, so you don't need to use RTV, which is freaking awesome. And I'm also using the factory hardware, the 10 mil. Honestly, I should have put on the fitting before putting the plate on, but we're gonna pull it back off. Now that I'm looking at this, kind of forgot that the engine is kind of lean backward, so this actually might clear the frame rail with the regular AN 90-degree fitting, but having a tight radius one also ensures now, after looking at it, that it's going to work. So let me grab the regular fitting real quick. Okay, first things first, there's a plug sensor thingamabob right here that's in the way, and I can't even bend this upward because of that. But I mean, it's just a bracket, so if I just bent it out, this fitting would kind of fold up there. So we're not touching the top entirely. You can hear it, right? If I bring it down just a smidge, it's almost parallel. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's almost parallel, right? Not too shabby. Technically, this would kind of work, but I really wanted to be away from the frame rail. So hoping that the tight radius brings the hose end a little bit more closer towards the engine and away from the frame rail. And when the engine torque, it's gonna go backward. So this is gonna bow down when the engine is like under load. So I'm not too worried about it as long as I don't have it resting on the frame rail. But before I go ahead and build this line, let's just wait for the other fitting to show up and then see how much better it'll fit. And if it does, we'll use it. If it doesn't, we'll use this one. I think I'm just gonna use the factory hardware because the other one is like double the length, and this comes out of the plate enough that we can thread and tighten down without it like stripping or whatever. So I'm just gonna go ahead and clean it up really quickly and get it all nice and clean because the plate is billet and we want to complement it. Not shabby, not shabby. I already did one earlier. Look at that. Polish. Look at the bling bling, dude. Damn. I love this little chair. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the return line. The 45 is going to go to the turbo. I'm going to thread it on like maybe 1 or 2 and kind of take measurements to see if this is long or short, where we need to cut. We're obviously going to remove the straight to put on either this 90 or the tight radius 90. And I want to make sure that this has enough slack that it is away from the downpipe and the dump tube. And the reason why those aren't on was because I want to do all the oil line stuff and have the space to do it all before I put the downpipe and stuff on. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this installed now. This would be easier if the turbo was off because there's a lot of stuff in the way for me to even put a wrench on here to secure this line. But let's try real quick. Okay, that's about 2. So I just got back with the fitting that he got from Tony, right? Yeah, so this one right here is a tight radius 90, and you can see the difference between the typical 90 degree dash 10 right here. So if you look, this one is a little bit taller, probably about almost ½ an inch, maybe. The return line, I just took measurements. It's actually a perfect length but slack. So all I got to do is remove this and this one and just transfer this fitting over to that, and this line should be ready to go on. But I think I'm gonna have to pull the turbo off to do that. So with the power of YouTube, power of editing, in 3, 2, 1. All right, so I thought I broke my lens again, but tight radius 90 is on, and now I'm going to pull off the turbo so we can install this end and then route this down to the timing chain cover. So this turbo has the port for the dual ball bearing, right? I don't know if you want to like run the water lines or not.
It's better, or
I mean, if it's true ball bearing, you kind of want to, especially if this is a daily beater. Like you want to make sure the turbo cools down like it's supposed to. See, the eBay stuff, they're not true ball bearing. So you can run them without the water line, which we have, and Booster Boys run them like that all day. Oh yeah, snug. Perfect that it has a heat wrap on it too, because it's going to be in between the downpipe. Although I don't know if I showed you guys this, but I did wrap the downpipe as well, just the top section where it's going to be sitting in the engine bay near the heater hoses. So is the dump tube, which is also right next to the heater hoses. And now that we have the feed and return line done, we're going to go ahead and get these installed as well too. I'm sad because this is probably one of the best downpipe I have ever welded up, and I had to wrap it because, you know what I'm saying, trying to contain the heat a little bit. But this thing is ready to go on permanently, since we did do feed line, return line, turbos bolted down, wastegate is bolted down, and downpipe can finally go on for the last time. And the back half right here for the exhaust system, I did add a 3-inch pipe, 3-inch in height, 3-inch in diameter pipe on the end of the V-band. So when we connect the exhaust later down the road, we already have this section. I'm not sure if it's going to be MIG with mild steel piping or if the exhaust system is going to be stainless, but at the end of the day, we have this extra little neck so we don't go and booger up a bunch of, you know, welds on the V-band itself. So I'm gonna go ahead and just snake this down and get this lined where I need it to be and tight it down, and then we'll do the dump tube after that. Let's see if the downpipe can still go all the way down on one shot. So went in this way, did a little twisty. I think that's what I did. Wait, damn it, it's the O2 sensor sitting on top of the power steering hose, bro. Come on, man. Bet you it'd go on if I took it off. This is what happens when you want to make your life a struggle. Story of my life. I could have just taken this off, but no, I could do it. I could do it. Look at that. Without the O2 sensor, easy peasy, dog.
yeah, 3-inch. From where?
Right. Damn, look at that. Okay, I think I'm just gonna pull off this back half V-band and the clamp itself, since we don't need it on right now, and prevent it from getting dirty for if we end up doing like a stainless exhaust TIG welding. We don't have to like clean all that. So yeah, man, that thing looks freaking awesome, dude. Yeah, your boy did that. All right, dump tube. So dump tube, pretty simple to snake through. It's not that long. It's probably under 2 feet, and it's literally a straight shot. What's funny is, like, I didn't know this until today. I mean, I knew the turbo sits right there, but now with the wastegate on, it's literally like like right there up front. And if you go to the other side, you can see the entire downpipe, manifold, and all that good jazz right here. Like, that's freaking awesome. But what's funny is, when the car is like driving lifted, you can literally just be like, yo, this thing's boosted. Especially in this side, because that's a massive turbo just sitting right there. Oh, look at that. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. But I need the clamp on it. Ready to make some flames on the floor. All right, guys, so we have feed line installed, return line installed, PLM tensioner plate with the dash 10 for the return system. We have downpipe, dump tube installed, and what I want to do is I want to turn the car on. I want to make sure everything is working. We don't have any leaks on the feed or return system, and once all that is good, then we can move on to the next thing tomorrow. Not in this video, because the intercooler stuff is going to be its own, and I need to put this O2 sensor dead plug back in. All right, I'm going to do the first start, and I figured what's a better view than the turbo, right? So I'm going to set you guys down here. See that spinny boy thing right there? I'm about to go.
Let's go.
Sorry, I know exactly what the problem is. 4-bar map sensor. I gotta put a stock one on it. Be right back, guys. Take 2. We threw the single cam stock map sensor in, and let's see if it'll crank over. Give some gas. Oh, I can't give it some gas because there's no throttle cable.
I got you.
You feel all that air coming out of the turbo, bro? That's a blower, bro. that this thing throws is crazy. Holy cow. So far, feed line is looking good, return line is looking good, and the return to the PLM down low here, you guys can't see it, but it's not leaking, heat checked, and fuel, everything's looking good. Hell yeah, dude. You excited? Man, imagine this thing's super quiet though. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be rowdy, dude. Hell yeah, dude. So guys, you guys heard the Element fired over for the first time with the back half of the turbo kit. Back half is the hot parts. Just TIG, log, top mount, manifold with tile 44mm wastegate with the PSR GT35 turbo. I don't know if this is a Gen 2 or a Gen 3, but it is definitely one or the other. I haven't really dug in their website to figure out what turbo this is exactly, but PSR GT3580 some. You bought a second hand, so I mean, you don't really know what it is either. But the car turns on, it sounds freaking awesome. No outer control valve and cold start as well, no coolant. And that's why the car, we had to like, I mean, what I did was I just took cardboard, stuck it in between the throttle body valve and the set screw to keep it idling so I can record a little bit for you guys. But you guys heard it, sounds freaking awesome. No leaks on the oil line, return line, fuel line, and now we can finally move on to, I want to say, the intercooler stuff. The intercooler stuff is probably going to commence tomorrow, and there's still a few more things I want to do before this car goes home. Like, we're going to do a fuel pressure regulator, and I'm going to make an entire video on that. Big shout out to B&R Fittings for dropping all the fittings here yesterday. And then we still want to make a video, obviously, for the intercooler and pipings, but I want to make a video where we're going to install the 1000cc injectors. They're 1050s, I think they were. We're going to do the injectors with the K Pro, with doing a base map, and probably a first drive as well too. So there's going to be a few more videos on the turbo element build. I hope you guys have been enjoying the series as of late, and I'm actually pretty stoked. I'm not saying it's inspiring me to get an element, but you know, I can mob a really sleeper element. This is pretty cool, man. This is a pretty cool idea.
Lift it, please.
Lift it too. Oh no, most definitely, man. I would not get an element just to be slammed. No shades thrown, but I would most definitely lift an element if I did. Big shout out to you again for letting me borrow the other one, because that was fun. I've never driven an element before, and literally when I returned it to him, he sold it the next day.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're gonna wrap up the video right here, guys. I hope you enjoyed the first startup of the turbo element setup, and if you guys did, be sure to leave a thumbs up. And if you guys want to stick around for the intercooler fabrication part of this build, be sure to hit the subscribe button. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.